Sharon Tate stood in front of her bedroom mirror, the soft glow of candles flickering in the background. She had just returned from a dinner with friends, her heart still light from laughter. She was 7 months pregnant with her first child, and she couldn't help but dream of the future, of the life she and her husband, Roman Polanski, would build. Tonight was no different than any other, with its promises of peace and contentment. But as she checked her reflection one last time, she could feel the weight of a strange unease. Her friends had already left. Jay Sebring, the hairstylist, was the last to leave, his reassuring words about everything being fine still echoing in her mind. But Sharon's instincts were beginning to shift, a tension building in the air. She walked across the room, picking up the phone to call Roman, who was in London working on a film project. As the phone rang, the silence of the house seemed to stretch unnervingly. In the distance, just outside the gates of her home, a car rolled slowly up the driveway. 4 strangers, dressed in plain clothes, moved stealthily through the shadows. Their faces were masked by the darkness of the night, their footsteps silent, yet purposeful. Charles Manson, their leader, had convinced them of the need to carry out helter-skelter, a mission to start a race war by creating chaos in the world's most famous city. His followers, brainwashed and loyal, followed without question. The house on Cielo Drive, a place of fame and fortune, was their next target. Sharon heard the knock at the door and hesitated. She was still in her robe, her hair slightly tousled from the evening. But when she opened the door, she didn't see anyone she recognized. At first, the young woman outside smiled faintly. "We need to speak with someone inside," she said, her voice soft yet oddly chilling. Before Sharon could respond, another figure pushed past her into the home. Sharon screamed, but it was too late. A sudden rush of adrenaline surged through her veins, but the realization that she was facing more than one person sank in like an icy blade. They were not here for a conversation. Sharon stumbled backward, her heart racing as she tried to retreat. The intruders were fast, too fast. The man, a tall figure with cold eyes, pulled out a knife, his expression devoid of empathy. Sharon's hands shook as she tried to protect herself, but the blows came swiftly, cutting through her flesh. The woman, one of the followers, whispered in her ear, "This is your fate, Sharon. Helter-skelter." Sharon's breath came in ragged gasps. The last thing she felt was the life being torn from her. But even in her last moments, Sharon's thoughts weren't of herself. She thought of her baby, of Roman, and the dreams that had been taken from her. As the brutal act played out, Jay Sebring, who had lingered in the house for a brief conversation, came back to check on her. He rushed in to help, but was met with the same terrifying fate. The killers didn't hesitate. They moved with calculated precision, turning Sharon's once safe haven into a house of nightmares. Hours later, the house was eerily quiet. The killers had left the scene, their chaotic mission now a tragic memory. But as the sun rose, the world would soon learn of the horrors that had unfolded behind the gates of Cielo Drive. The police arrived, their faces grim as they began the investigation. At first, the scene seemed like a senseless crime of passion, but something felt off. The grotesque manner of the murders, the odd details, led them to suspect that the killers weren't ordinary criminals. It was clear that they were driven by something more sinister. As the investigation unfolded, the shocking truth came to light. Manson's followers had targeted Tate, believing her life was symbolic in their twisted ideology. And as the media frenzy grew, the public's thirst for understanding deepened. Months later, the perpetrators were captured. The twisted story of Charles Manson and his cult would send shockwaves through Hollywood and the world. But for those who had loved Sharon Tate, the damage was irreversible. Her death marked the end of innocence in Hollywood. Roman Polanski, devastated and broken by the loss of his wife and unborn child, would never be the same. His life would be irrevocably altered, and the memory of Sharon's last moments would haunt him forever. But amid the tragedy, one thing remained: Sharon's legacy. She had been more than just a beautiful actress. She had been a symbol of light, innocence, and hope in a world that was often too dark. Her death would forever be remembered, not just as a crime, but as a moment that shattered the illusions of a city that once seemed untouchable. Like and subscribe for more true crime stories.